Happy 4th of July. Let's talk about one of the only 4th of July slashers that I know of, and that is Uncle Sam. This is a movie that came out back in the 90s, like 1995. This is a movie that I've heard of, but I've never seen until this review. This was my first time watch. I had always seen this movie on the shelves at Hollywood Video growing up. Always saw the cover, always was curious to check it out, but was never allowed to rent it. And yeah, it's a good thing, because this movie's not good. Um, it's currently streaming for free on Tubi, so I'm glad I didn't spend money on this thing. And if you're curious to check it out, it's on Tubi. You can watch it for free. Tubi or not Tubi. Um, so this movie is about a killer named Uncle Sam. His name is Sam. He's this kid's uncle. This kid really wants to be like his uncle, who was a soldier who was killed in combat, friendly fire, and now he's back a few years later from the grave as a supernatural killer who is killing people who are not patriotic and are just perverts and assholes, people who deserve to get killed, except for one person. There's one person who dies in this movie. I don't know why. Maybe because she was doing drugs. Really? That's it? Okay. Anyways, so this movie's not good. The positives, the things I liked about this movie, I liked the opening credits. It's just a montage of Uncle Sam's from way back in the day up till now, just all this old footage from like the first couple of wars, just a bunch of Uncle Sam's walking around, old commercials, and then more modern time Uncle Sam's, just all these different kinds of Uncle Sam's, and I thought it was perfect for this movie. And kind of puts you in the spirit of the holiday. And I like that it's a slasher that takes place on a holiday, especially this one, because there's not many of them. I don't know any other slasher that takes place on the 4th of July. I'm sure there's one or two that are out there, but I doubt they're good. But yeah, it makes it, if this was a good movie, it makes it a fun annual watch that you can watch every 4th of July if you like this movie. I don't like this movie, so I'm not gonna watch it every 4th of July. But I like that it's a holiday slasher. So I always like a slasher that's a holiday theme, like Christmas or whatever. Not a lot of Easter ones. There's not a whole lot of Easter slashers out there either. What about Flag Day? Where's the Flag Day slasher? Or now the Juneteenth slasher. Where's that one? And I like the marching drums. You got the drum sound for the score. I like that. Again, it goes with the whole theme that they're going with here, the whole holiday. And the mask, I like the mask. I like a masked slasher, and it makes sense why he's wearing one, because he's a burnt, rotting corpse, so he's got to hide his, disfigurement from the public as he's walking around amongst the crowd. He's hiding that, so it makes sense, and I like the mask. And there's a couple of holiday-related kills in the movie, which is smart. That's what all the kills should have been. They should have been way more creative, but we got a couple in here that are 4th of July. You got fireworks in one, and so I like that stuff. And there's one scene of nudity in this film, and slashers should usually have nudity, and this one just feels forced. Like the scene, it's very quick, so it's not even a lot of boobs you're seeing. It's just very quick, and it's out. It's just like flash the tits, and now it's over. There, we checked the box. Let's move on. Like it felt very forced. But anyways, let's get into the negatives for this movie. The acting from 99% of everybody in here is just fucking awful. The acting in this movie is horrendous, especially from the kid. And the lead character in this movie is a kid. Bad decision. This should have been a teenager. It's this little kid who really just wants to be a soldier. I don't know many kids who are just dying to go to war, but this one really wants to go kill people, and seems to be smart for his age. And then he's like a kid in one scene, and then he's speaking more like an adult in another scene. Larry Cohen wrote this movie, and he wrote this kid as an adult almost in some scenes. Like he's just saying words that no kid would say, and it's just ridiculous. And also, it should have been a teenager, is what I was wanting to say earlier. Like this could have been just a teenager in high school that could have been the lead character wanting to go to war and, after high school wanting to sign up for the Marines. This story would have worked still, and it would have had more than likely a better actor. And the movie's just boring. The movie is so boring. The first 35 minutes is so dull. Yeah, there's like no kills until like over 40 minutes into the movie. I mean, outside of the opening, but whatever. Like from that moment on, like there's this long period of time where just nothing interesting is happening, no kills, nothing funny, at least not intentionally. This movie is just too serious too, for the most part. Like the movie overall feels like it's very serious, but yet you got the killer dropping one or two one-liners. He only does it like maybe twice in the movie, thankfully, because none of them land and none of them have payoffs. Like he'll say a one-liner, like he's saying to one guy, he says like some line about eyeballs, like implying that he's about to like gouge this guy's eyes, but it doesn't happen. So it's like you set up this joke, and then there's no payoff with no special effects, and the kills in this movie, most of them are just very lame, practically goreless. Hardly any gore in here really. There's decapitation, but I don't really count that as gore. So the kills really just suck overall. And yeah, it should have been way more silly. Should have gone for it, make it just hilarious, over the top, just go bananas with it. Don't take yourself so goddamn seriously. And also, there's some really odd editing in the film that just was jarring at times. There's a kid in the movie who's a psychic, and I don't understand why he needs to be in this movie. He comes into the movie when, like, towards the third act, and then what does he do? Really? I don't understand what the fuck he's doing here. So, don't care for the psychic kid who's like in a wheelchair. He's blind, but yeah, he knows what's going on. He can see. And then this movie just makes all men shitheads. Every guy in this movie is a shithead. Like perverts, and this guy is trying to bang widows, and this person's just cheating on their taxes or whatever. It's like every guy in this movie is an asshole. Like all the women are good and all the men are just evil. I hate that. And then, yeah, so I don't want to talk about this movie much longer, but I will be doing a spoiler section, so stick around if you want to hear my thoughts on this film even more. But final thoughts for this spoiler-free section, I will say that this is just an underwhelming, very below average slasher with really nothing memorable about it. It's one of the only 4th of July slashers, so it's got that going for it. But it's just not entertaining. It doesn't try to be really funny. Nothing landed. I never laughed at it. And there's no gore, barely any nudity, and it's just stupid. So when it comes to Uncle Sam, this was not entertaining to me. I cannot recommend it. It is not so bad that it's good. It is just bad. So I have to say that this movie is wasted time. So in this opening, we got a downed helicopter. We got friendly fire going on, and we see the antagonist in the helicopter. We think he's dead, but he comes back for one last scare and snaps this guy's head around and then shoots his sergeant through him. And then we get the opening credits, and it says that this movie takes place in Twin Rivers, USA. Doesn't tell you what state it takes place in, it just says what city, which I thought was really interesting and quite silly. Why not tell us what state it takes place in? What's the harm in doing so? And then we get this weird edit that's just here to like let you know, in case you're an idiot, who this guy's uncle is, who he's talking about. He's talking about his uncle, and then like it quick flashes to the guy in the opening, like that's his uncle, in case you haven't figured it out. And then also, this kid is like what, 11, 12? He cuts his foot open and then has to get his mom, wake her up in the middle of the night to put a band-aid on his foot because he can't do it himself. Grow up, kid. And then Bo Hopkins is in this movie. And of course, like all the men in this movie, he is an asshole. Like, he seems like a nice guy at first, but then later on he is talking about how he only took the job to let people know that their husband has died so that he could have a chance at like fucking widows. Like, he's like, I only took this job to, tell them that their husbands are dead and then hopefully get in bed with them at some point. He's like, I'm batting 100, or he says something. He's just a scumbag, and he gets killed off camera, like most people in this movie. They find out that their uncle is dead. He's been missing for 3 years, I guess, and now they finally found his body in the desert. And Isaac Hayes is in this movie. I want to make love to you, woman. And he's terrible in this movie. Oh my gosh, like, awful. Almost everybody is awful. Very wooden, just terrible. And then the teacher at this kid's school was a CO. He did not fight in Vietnam. He's like, my uncle says that people like you are cowards. And so I guess this is a thing. I would never want this, but some people get caskets delivered to their house, and then they just keep their dead relatives in their living room. Seems like an odd thing to do. I would never want that, but that's what's going on here. And then, so, yeah, the kid, he's like, I can't, Mom. I'm in mourning. Like, I'm grieving over the loss of my uncle. No kid talks like this. And he says it like that. Like, no emotion at all. So clearly he's full of shit. Is he supposed to be lying in that moment? He really, like, no, he cares about his uncle. He idolizes his uncle. And when he finds out that he's dead, not a single tear is shed. There's like no emotion in this film. No emotional impact. No, like, because they knew that their actors sucked. So they didn't even try to get any kind of emotion from them. They're like, oh, whatever. We're not even going to plant fake tears on you. It's just, this movie needed some emotion. And yeah, he's like, I'm in mourning. What, like, 10-year-old says that? I'm sad, I'm depressed. No kid says, I'm in mourning. So then, he wants to be a soldier. He just keeps talking about it. And Isaac Hayes is trying to tell him, like, no, be a doctor, save people, don't kill people. And he's like, well, everybody dies anyways. Again, what kid talks like this? And so then there's these 3 kids burning flags on the 4th of July. It's like midnight, so it's the 4th of July now, and they're celebrating by burning a flag near this guy's grave, and I guess that's what wakes him up from his slumber, wakes him up from hell. He comes back because there's flag burners, and also we got this Uncle Sam outfit wearing guy on stilts spying on this girl. He's a peeping Tom. He's like right outside her window, and she somehow can't see him out there looking at her. He's like 4 feet away to her left, right outside the window, just looking at her. You don't see that out of your peripheral? Jesus. And then when she does see him, the acting here is the worst in the whole movie, as if it couldn't get worse. Watch the scene, listen to it, and pay attention to her lips. It looks like post-production, like ADR, like somebody else said it over her. It didn't even match her mouth, like it wasn't synced. Like, I'm gonna call the cops this time, and it's awful. It's so bad.
You pervert! Stay away from my house. I'm gonna call the cops this time, Willie.
So after all that, all these kids, they're burning the flags, like I said, and then he finally shows up. He kills the stilts guy. How do you get off of those things like that? I have a fear of heights, so I would never go on stilts. How do those people get down? You would need help, right? But he falls over, and he's paralyzed or something. He just won't get up. He just sits there, and then Uncle Sam comes up with, cropsy shears, like the burning. You think that we're gonna get this cool gory kill? Of course not. But he says something about his eyeballs, like he's about to pluck his eyes out. But we don't get to see that. And then this is where he gets his outfit for the rest of the movie. He kills these kids. He's burying one of them alive, and he's screaming for help for a long time. Like, how slowly he was, shoveling the dirt in there. It would have taken a good long while before he finally buried him all the way. And he's screaming and screaming, and his 2 other friends are somewhere in that cemetery also, and they can't hear him in the distance screaming for help. Bullshit. And then after he buries the guy alive, he kills the other one by stringing him up, and he hangs him on the flagpole, and he wraps it around his neck, and he's pulling him up. Kind of reminded me of the Kill and Sleepaway Camp 3, although that one's much more brutal. So then after that, Mr. Crindle gets killed. The teacher, he gets a hatchet right in his face. He asked for it. by being a conscientious objector. That was his crime, right? How did he know? He's supernatural, so I guess that's how he knows. Um, Me trying to put logic into this movie, whatever. So PJ Souls makes a cameo here. She's like this handicapped kid's mom. She's quickly in and out of the movie. And then we get this terrible national anthem singing, and the guy's just making a mockery of the national anthem. He starts like mooning the crowd, except he doesn't properly moon them. Like instead of showing his ass, he just pulls his pants down and shows them his boxers. And then that kid, I think is the same kid in the potato sack race. He's hopping around, he's pushing everybody over. Get out of my way, bitch! Move, bitch! He's cheating and he takes a shortcut, falls down a hill. There's a couple getting blown somewhere, and then he gets his head chopped off after this killer is clearly supernaturally like teleporting around. So it's a killer that can teleport. I don't care for that. Because I never care for teleportation with my killers, because then there's all these other moments where you're like, well, how come they're not teleporting here? When this guy's about to get blasted by a fucking cannon, why doesn't he just teleport out of the way? So giving your villain that power is always backing yourself into a corner as a writer, and it always just creates all these plot holes and questions. So quit with that teleportation shit. And then I don't know what to think of this scene. Is he really there? Is it happening or is it not? He's in the middle of a crowd caressing this handicapped boy's face, rubbing his cheek for like a full minute, talking to him. And his parents are right there and they don't say a freaking word. So is he there? Is he a ghost in that moment? I don't understand that scene. Like, if he was really there, at some point, the mom or dad would have been like, hey, sir, can you quit touching my kid's face? I don't know you. And then this we get the typical hypocritical cop who steals weed from some kid and then pockets it himself. He's going to smoke it later. We see that all the time. And the killer easily just takes like a BB rifle off of one of those, carnival games where you shoot like the ducks or whatnot. He takes that thing, he shoots a guy dressed like Abe, ironically. So that's the joke there. Abe got shot once again. And it's just a lame off-camera kill. There's like not even blood. And then later on, when Uncle Sam's getting shot, the squibs, they're flashing. Why are they flashing? Is it because he's a supernatural being and he doesn't bleed blood? He just bleeds fucking sparks? Like, there's sparks coming off of his body when he's getting shot. I don't know. Fuck it, whatever. I'm not even going to go too much into detail and try to explain it. There's no explaining this movie. There's a lot of stupid shit in here. You got flashing squibs, you got all kinds of stupid stuff. And then the girl who was smoking weed earlier, she gets her face barbecued right after finding a severed head on the grill. Why does she get killed? Because she was smoking weed? Ooh, big deal. Like everybody else is being unpatriotic. She's cooking barbecue for the holidays. She's celebrating technically by doing that. And you're gonna kill her for smoking weed? That doesn't make sense to me. And what exactly did the uncle do to his sister and his wife? They keep talking about how evil this guy was, but they don't even go into detail once about it. And they're like, the sister's saying to the other woman, like, we need to tell your son. He needs to know. And they don't even really tell him. They're like very cryptic about it. They're just like, oh, he was bad. Oh, good to know. I'm so glad you told me. Like, tell him what he did exactly. Like, was it sexual abuse? Was it physical and sexual, verbal abuse? What did he do? I'm very curious. What exactly did he do that was just so traumatizing? And if he was so bad, why did the wife stay with him? Because she's so scared. It's called fucking just kill him. The police will take your side, I'm sure. Whatever. Like, come on. Why stay with a guy like that you're so terrified of? I don't get that. I mean, it's true to life. There's a lot of cases like that where women are just so scared that they stay with the guy for years. So I get, that's true to life, but I don't get it. Why? Just leave. And then, yeah, this town has a real cannon on display that you can easily just put a ball in, light the fuse, and then shoot shit out. You can just tow it to your truck. You connect it to your car, drive it away. Isaac Hayes takes the cannon, and they just blast Uncle Sam away. twice. He comes out of the burning building, like on fire, like the end of Halloween 2. He's walking towards the kid, and the kid just won't fucking get up. He's crawling backwards. He needs that life alert button. I've fallen, and I can't get up. And then the second cannonball hits him into the house, and for some reason there's like this explosion outside the house at first as he's going through, and then all of the inside of the first floor just explodes out the windows. I'm not sure how a cannonball would be that explosive. It's not like TNT at the ball, right? I don't think it's explosive, but I don't know. I guess I don't know my weapons that well. It just seems like it's overkill, this explosion at the end. It just feels like it's supposed to be, big budget feeling. It's like, this is the big moment. But would that cannonball really do that damage? Sending a guy into the living room is going to blow out the whole fucking first floor of the building? And when he's on fire too, you can see like an obvious burn mask that he's wearing, like a burn stunt thing. Like, it's got like that mask on. It just makes me laugh when I see that shit. A good example is The Burning. When Cropsey comes out of the building on fire, you're looking at him, you're like, that's not Cropsey. That is this big old suit he has on now. Like, where did he get that? And then, so the last frame of this movie, after the kid's burning all his army shit, like, I don't want to be a soldier no more, that's his character growth. The last frame of this movie shatters. And if you're familiar with Lucio Fulci's City of the Living Dead, you'll remember that the last frame of that movie, for some weird reason, freeze frames and then cracks and it shatters and it like falls apart. And then after that, in this movie, it says for Lucio. It doesn't say Fulci, it says for Lucio. When did he die? Was it 95? This movie came out in 95. I don't remember what year he died. I know it was the 90s, but I think he died in like 98 or 97. I think it was 96 or 7. So he was alive at this point, wasn't he? Maybe not. I don't know. But still, it was just weird to say, yeah, this is for Lucio. Really? You're gonna make this movie in honor of Lucio Fulci, like one of the godfathers of gore, and this movie's goreless? Fuck. It's almost insulting. And so yeah, and then as the credits are rolling, we get the killer of the movie like reading out loud a poem as the credits roll. So that was interesting. And I don't think I said this. This is from the director of Maniac, William Lustig. And I believe Lustig is German for funny, and this movie is not funny at all. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on Uncle Sam. What did you think about this movie? Let me know in the comments below. Do you think it's so bad it's good? I disagree, but to each their own. Anyways, let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here, you can hit this like button and become a subscriber today just by clicking on my cartoon face in about 5 seconds. And until next time, happy 4th of July.